Yeah, there's a really interesting connection between humans, wildlife, and game animals that exists in China that doesn't exist really anywhere else. The United States has kind of killed off all of our megafauna, and we don't have game animals that we breed, and we don't trade them on markets. So it's kind of different. But this figure does a really good job in kind of showing it. But basically, you have breeding of game animals for food, you have trading of game animals, and then you have game animals that are just going to be wild game animals, right? That are between those. So if you had let's say, a farm, an individual farm, a small farm that had an outbreak of a coronavirus, you really easily have a wild game animal that could just walk by, that could transmit that virus now to the wet market, or you could just bring that, unbeknownst to that trader, bring it to that wet market, right? And then, as if that's not bad enough, you have coronaviruses, which are really easily transmitted host to host. So you can have these kind of wild reservoirs that happen. That in this case, that wild reservoir would be the bats that we saw in the paper, and then these outbreaks do happen, obviously, in the United States, for example, and these small farms will see kind of these outbreaks that do happen, but they're so tempered because we don't have wild animals to interact with them. They're so, factory farms do a really good job of sequestering these animals into seclusion, right? They're not, able to come out and to see the air and to see wild animals that could then transmit viruses that would then, lead to an epidemic. So it's kind of like an interesting social dynamic that does cause a lot of problems. And China knows this, by the way. China tries to stop this stuff. They're not, they don't want outbreaks to happen at these wet markets, and that's why a lot of them are illegal. But you still have people that are trying to breed them for food, for money, that kind of thing.